Hello, and thank you for listening in on this short informational overview of our new Licensed Nursing Assistant Apprenticeship Program. My name is Emily Gaudette. I am the Director of Organizational Development. I'm a part of Human Resources with Catholic Medical Center. We are very excited to get this program started and welcome our first inaugural class of students in late June. So we're going to review some information about the program and hopefully answer a number of questions that you may have about the program, how it works, how you apply, and dates and deadlines. So our program is a close partnership with the Community College System of New Hampshire apprenticeship programming. In the state of New Hampshire, the apprenticeships can span many industries, and the curriculums and educational programming is created and taught out of the 7 different community colleges within the state. So our particular program is the first LNA apprenticeship out of Manchester Community College. To give you a high-level understanding of what an apprenticeship program actually is, it has to include 5 components. So CMC is a registered apprenticeship site, which means that we have applied with the Department of Labor and been granted that particular designation. So our business, as the employer, we are driving what we want this apprenticeship to look like. But it does include structured on-the-job learning. So the apprentice, once they complete their education and become a licensed LNA, is assigned a mentor within the department that they're assigned to work. And that's someone that can help serve as a resource as they grow and learn within the role. There is the classroom education component, and CMC does fund the tuition. There's also grant dollars available to help fund any additional costs that might be incurred by a student while participating in the program. Another component of apprenticeship is that there are progressive wages. So as milestones are met within the apprenticeship program, there are pay increases for meeting those milestones over the course of that 1.5 to 2 year time frame. And then finally, completing an apprenticeship will earn the participant a national occupational credential through the Department of Labor. This is something that the employee then has. It travels with them and is a credential that is recognized nationally. So what are the benefits of apprenticeship? It's an opportunity to go to school, get an education, and earn a wage while you're actually in class. So you are a full-time employee, earning a wage, earning benefits, earning earned time off as you would through any employer while you're in the classroom. So it's a way to get an education paid for, as well as being able to work while you're in class. It does not require previous college education or experience in the healthcare field to participate in our apprenticeship. It's really to help people start a career that they've been interested in and maybe didn't have an opportunity to get into, or there are barriers to getting started. It keeps you from having to take on student debt. There's also additional grant funding to help with additional expenses that you might incur while you're in the program. There's ways that we want to support you throughout the program to make sure that you're successful and that you can complete it without hardship. And again, those progressive pay wages as you gain new skills and meet milestones, and we'll talk about those in a minute. And then the national credential that's earned at the end is something unique to this program that you wouldn't get if you went through a different LNA program by yourself. So the coursework requirements, what this looks like, the courses are taught at Manchester Community College themselves. There's also practicum and clinical experience that takes place both at Catholic Medical Center and a long-term care facility. And that happens for the first 5 weeks of the program. It is full-time, 8 a.m. to 4:30 daily. There are built into the coursework 60 hours of the Work Ready New Hampshire soft skills training. There's additional 60 hours of online theory, 24 hours of clinical lab work at the college, and 60 hours of a clinical practicum between those 2 facilities, so the long-term care facility and Catholic Medical Center and one of our inpatient units. Once you finish the coursework for those 5 weeks, you are eligible to sit for the state certification exam and submit for your LNA license to the New Hampshire Board of Nursing. The training program prepares the candidate to practice as a nursing assistant in a full-time position, providing patient care at CMC. So at completion of the program, it's placement into, and once you are licensed, it's placement into one of our open LNA positions on one of our floors. The cost of the program is $1,800, plus there's an estimated $150 to $200 worth of supplies, books, potentially the purchase of scrubs if you don't already own them. CMC pays the entire tuition for that $1,800. So the student would be responsible for that $150 to $200 extra expense. And again, the Apprenticeship New Hampshire grant can potentially pay for some of those additional supplies as you may be eligible for that. So that would be something to talk to an Apprenticeship New Hampshire representative about and apply for, and we would facilitate that conversation upon hire. Participant requirements for the school. As a student, an eligible student has to demonstrate the ability to read, comprehend, write, and communicate in English relative to a job-related assignment. So during the interview process, there will be a short written English exam administered. You cannot have been convicted of a felony. You also must pass a drug screening. There are CMC and MCC application procedures that you would need to follow, and providing a proof of a transcript, high school, a GED, HiSET, or higher education proof. We also require an essay explaining why you wish to be an LNA as part of your application process, and I'll speak to that in a few minutes when I talk about submission of your application. We also need a copy of a resume, and we will administer a criminal history background check. So moving into talking a little bit about the program itself from the employer standpoint, how we need you to apply, the selection process, and what it looks like once you're an employee of ours. So again, the highlights of this program is that you are a CMC full-time benefited employee from the very beginning of the program. So from day one, you are a CMC employee. You do receive pay increases as you meet those milestones throughout the program. You'll enter in a training wage. Once you complete the coursework and obtain your license, there's a pay increase. So after that first 5 weeks, the pay increases. Once you meet 1,000 hours of on-the-job training, there's a third increase, and then the final pay increase would come at 2,000 hours of on-the-job training met, and that also would include a merit increase because you would be due for your annual performance eval at that time. You do receive 100% of your tuition paid by CMC, and you are eligible for additional grant funding for those support services, transportation, supplies, books, uniforms, cost of registration fees for the exam, and application fees for the New Hampshire Board of Nursing licensure. And then the completion of the apprenticeship earns you that occupational credential through the Department of Labor. So our minimum employment requirements, you must be able to attend and travel to class, lab, and your practicum assignments. Those locations would be between Manchester Community College, Catholic Medical Center, and a long-term care facility, which is in Bedford. And the full-time hours for those first 5 weeks would be Monday to Friday, 8 hours a day, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. That's a commitment we would require for you to participate in the program. You also would need to be able to commit to the dates of the program. So June 24th through August 2nd would be a requirement that we would not allow any planned time off. And during that time frame, you would need to maintain a 95% classroom attendance rate and 100% clinical attendance rate. So missing any time away could jeopardize being able to complete the coursework portion of the program. You also need to have the ability to complete homework assignments and meet class deadlines as they're assigned during the classroom portion of the program. And if the grant funding does not cover you as an individual, then you would also need to have the ability to pay for any course-related supplies and textbooks and the application fee that may be required and not covered. So the work assignment itself, so once you obtain your LNA licensure and you are a licensed nursing assistant, you're our employee, what we do, you are required to have that license and your basic life support before we could place you into that job assignment. So you can't work with patients until you have licensure. Once you do obtain that, you would be taking one of the open LNA positions on one of our inpatient floors. So this could be anything from our cardiac medical unit, heart and vascular, cardiovascular surgical unit, the ICU, a med surg unit, post-anesthesia care, our emergency department, or a rehab floor. We also have first, second, and third shift openings. So placement into an open position is dependent upon the position's availability. We can't guarantee any specific shifts are open or any specific floor. We'll do our best to make arrangements with you on what you prefer, but we can't guarantee that. And then if it's a second or third shift opening, there are shift differentials that would be calculated as applicable to the in addition to the base rate of pay that you would be receiving. So your work schedule could include 4 to 12 hours per day with weekend coverage based on that individual's unit needs and their scheduling practices. You also may be expected to cover for patient care needs and rotating or working extra shifts, again, depending on how that individual department schedules and practices. The on-the-job training portion of the program, so once you're placed into an open LNA position, that's when that 2,000 hours of on-the-job training begins. You must fulfill those 2,000 hours of on-the-job training to complete the apprenticeship. That's when you would earn that credential through the Department of Labor. So it's all done while you're working full-time. And during that 2,000 hours, you are assigned a mentor, another LNA that's experienced in the department that's there to provide you guidance, support, coaching, and any feedback that's helpful to you. They're also there as peer support if you have questions for guidance in your career above and beyond just the scope of your practice and the day-to-day functions that you're performing. Our application process looks as follows. So our applicants, if you're an internal employee of ours already, or if you're an external candidate, you are required to fill out an online application on our careers page in order to be considered. We do need that online application to be completed. So you would go to careers.catholicmedicalcenter.org and look for the LNA trainee job application. The application requires a maximum of 500 words in an essay in response to the prompt, I want to be an LNA because. Our system does allow you to attach or upload a Word document to add that essay to your application. So our selection process is as follows. You are required, again, to complete that application. It's not considered a completed application until you've submitted that essay component. After that, there's a phone interview and a phone screen. Following that, we would bring you in for an in-person panel interview, and you would be meeting with myself and some of our nursing unit directors, which would be the directors that would be hiring you into those open LNA positions. So they would eventually become your leader. During that in-person interview, we'll have an opportunity to administer that English test. It's a written exam. It can be done on site while you're here for the in-person interview. It is reviewed and approved by Manchester Community College. So you would take it here at CMC during your interview, but then we would submit that back to the school. Our candidate selection notification, we will provide you at least 3 weeks prior notice that you've been selected to the start date of the program. That way you can give proper notice and prepare to start. An external hire is processed as a new hire to Catholic Medical Center. So that would include processing of a background check, your references, coming on site for an employee health clearance and a drug screen. If you are an internal candidate and you are hired into this program, we would process you as an internal transfer. However, there would be some information that we would need to submit as part of your application to the Manchester Community College to be a student. So program information, if you have questions, you can reach out to me directly. Again, my name is Emily Gadat. I'm the Director of Organizational Development. You can call my direct office line, or you can call our general HR phone number to be connected to me, or you can send me an email. I'm happy to respond to anyone with questions in either format. If you have questions specific to apprenticeship in New Hampshire, or questions more about the curriculum or the program itself with the school, then you can contact Apprenticeship New Hampshire by email or by phone, and they can answer those level of questions outside of the CMC's program. So thank you for listening. I hope this has answered a number of questions that you've had. And again, feel free to reach out if you have additional or specific questions that you want answered.